They don't tell you this at the gym, they don't tell you this in the mirror, but one day you'll wake up weaker, and it won't be because you skipped a workout. It will be because something inside you is decaying, and by the time you feel it, it has already begun. Today, we expose the hidden assassin known as sarcopenia, the muscle thief of aging, and more importantly, we arm you with the exact foods that rebuild what it tries to destroy. If your arms feel weaker, if stairs feel steeper, if your reflection looks softer than it used to, then this isn't just aging. It's muscle decline, but here's the truth, you are not helpless. There are foods, real, strategic weapons that can stop muscle decay and rebuild strength at the cellular level. This video isn't about trends, it's about taking back control. Sarcopenia is the silent thief. Power is rarely taken all at once. History proves it. Empires don't collapse overnight, they crumble, one brick at a time, while their rulers are distracted. Sarcopenia follows the same strategy. It does not crash through the gates of your body with fanfare and violence. No, it slips in quietly, incrementally weakening your foundation while you remain convinced that you still reign supreme. This condition, which begins subtly as early as your 30s, is the gradual and systematic loss of skeletal muscle mass and function. You won't feel its presence right away. One morning, you'll notice that carrying groceries feels heavier than it should. The next, you'll find your balance faltering during stairs, or your strength retreating when you attempt to lift what you once considered effortless. These are not random occurrences, they are the fingerprints of sarcopenia. Like all clever thieves, sarcopenia exploits what you take for granted. It capitalizes on modern lifestyles, desk chairs, processed foods, sedentary routines, protein neglect. While you sit, it moves. While you procrastinate, it plans. It is not dramatic or theatrical, and that is precisely why it succeeds. The modern man or woman, obsessed with visible danger and theatrical disease, fails to notice the silent erosion of their vitality. This enemy thrives on your inaction. The longer you pretend nothing is happening, the more territory it claims. And it does not stop at muscle. Sarcopenia is not just a physical problem, it is a strategic breach. Muscle is strength, strength is energy, energy is freedom. When your body weakens, your choice is narrow. When choice is narrow, life becomes a series of limitations disguised as adjustments. First, you reduce how much you walk. Then you stop climbing stairs, then you rely on others, and then, without a declaration of war, you've lost the empire of your own independence. To understand sarcopenia is to understand the genius of quiet conquest. It does not require illness. It needs only that you do nothing, and most do just that nothing. They tell themselves it's normal. They say aging is to blame, but aging is the cover story. The real cause is surrender disguised as acceptance, wrapped in complacency. Like a skilled political adversary, sarcopenia operates slowly and with precision. It doesn't need to defeat you in battle, it only needs you to ignore the siege. And that's where it wins. It thrives in the absence of strategy, in the comfort of denial. What makes this condition so dangerous is not just its effect, but its invisibility. There are no media campaigns for muscle decline. No headlines scream about its daily casualties. Yet every year, millions are weakened by it physically, mentally, socially. And still, most shrug it off as getting older. Let that sink in. Your greatest strength is being stolen, and the thief walks free because you don't even know you've been robbed. To counter this, you must act like a ruler defending a city not under attack yet, but under surveillance. You must fortify long before the battering rams appear. The earlier you begin to address sarcopenia, the more power you preserve. Because once you're aware that this is a silent war, you understand what's at stake, not just your muscles, but your sovereignty over your own life. Muscle is power in every era. Power has always rested on the shoulders of those who could move with force, carry weight, build, destroy, and endure. No throne has ever been secured without strength, and no revolution has ever succeeded on weak limbs. This law is eternal. He who has muscle has leverage. She who maintains her physical strength commands attention, respect, and the ability to act when others hesitate. Muscle is more than mass, it is currency. It dictates the terms of your energy, your posture, your capacity to work, your appearance, and most critically, your independence. In every negotiation with life, muscle gives you bargaining power. When you begin to lose it, you are not simply losing tissue, you are losing your right to self-determination. This is what the average person fails to see. They believe muscle is an aesthetic bonus, a thing to chase in the gym for the mirror. But that view is the result of decades of commercial distraction and cultural softening. Muscle is not vanity. Muscle is capability. It's insurance against fragility. It's preparation for impact. It's a declaration of intent. The elderly man who falls and breaks a hip doesn't suffer just because of his bones. He suffers because the muscle that should have cushioned, balanced, and corrected him had withered. The woman who tires by noon or struggles to lift her own child is not just out of shape, she is unarmed, stripped of the strength she was meant to wield as a protector of herself and others. Power, in any form, is not permanent. It requires maintenance. A king must defend his throne daily, or he will lose it. Your body is no different. Muscle is built through resistance, fed through strategy, and preserved through vigilance. It does not stay because you once earned it. It stays because you continue to deserve it. There is also a psychological advantage to muscle. It changes posture, gait, voice, decision making. It alters how you are perceived and how you perceive yourself. The world responds differently to a person who moves with strength. The mind is sharpened by a body that knows its own force, and confidence that's built on genuine ability is unshakable. This is not ego, it's leverage. When you rebuild muscle, you are not just crafting a body, you are forging a weapon. A weapon that resists disease, slows aging, and demands that life respect your presence. Without it, you become vulnerable not just to illness or falls, but to irrelevance. Society has little patience for weakness, even if it pretends otherwise. So do not be misled by those who say muscle is optional or cosmetic. That is rhetoric designed to pacify. In truth, muscle is your last defense, your primary advantage, your silent declaration that you are not ready to be ruled by circumstance. Food is a weapon. Every war is won by those who understand logistics. In the war against Sarcopenia, food is not comfort and it is not tradition. It is a weapon. It is strategy in edible form. And those who continue to treat food as casual entertainment, as a passive activity, will find themselves unarmed in the face of biological decline. Muscle does not grow in response to dreams. It grows in response to commands, nutritional commands, and those commands are only executed when the right substances enter the bloodstream. You can lift weights until your tendons scream, but if you are not eating to support recovery, growth, and anti-inflammation, you are at best breaking even, and more likely losing ground. Protein is not just a macronutrient, it's a signal. It tells your body to rebuild. It triggers the process known as muscle protein synthesis, which in practical terms means build, restore, strengthen. Without that signal, no progress occurs. It's like deploying soldiers without ammunition. The intent is there, but the power is missing. But food is more than protein. It also determines how well your body absorbs, heals, defends. Omega-3 fatty acids found in salmon and walnuts reduce inflammation, the silent antagonist that sabotages muscle growth behind the scenes. Micronutrients like magnesium, potassium, and B vitamin enhance nerve function, energy metabolism, and recovery speed. Iron ensures oxygen reaches your muscles. Zinc facilitates repair. Every nutrient has a role. Every role must be filled. Even timing is weaponized. Fasted training without post-nutrient replenishment is like fighting a war and refusing reinforcements. It doesn't matter how noble your effort was. If you don't follow through with the right fuel, your system collapses. Post-workout meals, pre-sleep caffeine, mid-day recovery snacks. All of these are battle formations, not snacks. And every one of them either strengthens your walls or leaves you exposed. Food can also betray you. Sugar-laden processed junk, ultra-refined oils, artificial fillers. These are saboteurs posing as harmless treats. They inflame tissues, confuse hormonal signals, disrupt digestion, and ultimately impair muscle synthesis. To consume them consistently is to give aid to the enemy. This is the truth. Every bite you take is either sharpening your sword or dulling it. Every meal is a moment to reclaim control or surrender it. You cannot separate muscle from nutrition any more than you can separate an army from its supply chain. They rise and fall together. Understand this, and your entire world, you changes. Grocery shopping becomes tactical. Cooking becomes preparation for battle. Eating becomes execution of strategy, and health is no longer left to fate. It becomes inevitable. Control through strategy, not hope. Hope has no place in war, nor does it serve you in the preservation of your body. If you are relying on luck, genetics, or wishful thinking to avoid sarcopenia, you are already surrendering ground. Control, real control, is only obtained through strategy. That means information, planning, execution, and ruthless consistency. Sarcopenia is not random. It follows patterns. It exploits weaknesses in diet, movement, and lifestyle. That makes it predictable, and anything predictable can be intercepted. The person who studies the enemy's tactics, who understands how muscle is lost and how it can be rebuilt, has the advantage. Hope tells you that aging is natural and muscle loss is inevitable. Strategy tells you that muscle can be preserved, even built, deep into your 60s, 70s, and beyond, if the inputs are controlled. And the inputs are not mystical. They are food, resistance training, sleep, stress management, hormonal balance. All variables you can influence if you're disciplined enough. There is no room for emotional comfort here. You do not need motivation. You need a map, a system, a daily set of actions that move you closer to your target. Your body is not a mystery. It is an obedient servant to the commands you give it. If you feed it protein, it builds. If you move with intensity, it strengthens. If you rest and recover, it regenerates. If you do nothing, it declines. People lose their way not because they lack ability, but because they lack clarity. They chase random diets, inconsistent workouts, and inspirational quotes. None of these build muscle. Precision does, routine does, relentlessness does. To outmaneuver sarcopenia, you must become a strategist. You must think in terms of months, not days, meals, not cravings, habits, not hacks. This is how power is built, one calculated move at a time. There is no alternative plan. There is no soft option. There is only the strategic path or the weakening one. And that choice is made every day, in silence, without audience, in the smallest of decisions. And so you must ask yourself, are you the strategist of your life, or are you just hoping the castle doesn't fall? You now know the truth. Muscle loss isn't fate. It's the reward of inaction. Sarcopenia doesn't strike suddenly. It arrives because you left the door open, but today that changes. You've been handed the blueprint, not for survival, but for dominance. Each food discussed is not just nutrition. It is an ally, a weapon, a piece of the empire you are rebuilding from within. This is not a time for softness. It's a time for command. Every bite must serve a purpose. Every meal must be an act of rebellion against weakness. The world does not slow down for the weak, and it will not wait for you to catch up, so choose strategy. Choose strength, choose to rebuild ruthlessly, intelligently, and with no apologies. This is your body. This is your war, and now you know how to win it.